I want to do a quick tutorial on my reloading process. I shoot a lot of 357 ammunition, load all my own ammo. Right now it's costing me about 15 cents a shot, which is a heck of a lot cheaper than if I buy ammunition at the store. There's a lot of different ways you can go about reloading. There's so many different facets to it. I'm going to try and keep this simple and just show the basics that I go through when I reload. It takes me about took me about 90 minutes the other night to reload 100 rounds, start to finish, not including the time the brass spent in the tumbler getting polished. So I'm going to reload a cartridge and show each step that I do. When I'm actually reloading, I do large groups of ammunition. This is an RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme. I reload a lot of things with it. Again, a progressive reloader is going to be a heck of a lot faster, especially if you're shooting a lot of pistol ammunition or revolver ammunition. But for right now, this is what I have. I can reload about 100 rounds in an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours depending. Here are my 200 rounds. Shot these other weekend with my father-in-law. I caught you right there at the end. That's pretty cool. We're at the gun range. Came with a couple hundred, actually, about 250 rounds. They're all empty. I'm not going to. First stage I do is clean my brass, and as you can see, these two sets have been loaded at the same time. They're both Winchester. I can mix them in the tumbler and not worry about mixing my brass. This brass here has only been fired 3 times. I don't want to mix this brass with this brass. So today I'm going to tumble these. I'm going to leave that for another session because it's important. You know, this brass is a lot older than that brass. I don't want to mix the two up. So, box 1. Box 2. As you can see, that only took a minute or so to dump those in there, and now that's just going to tumble for a couple hours. Maybe up to 4 hours. 4 hours will get them nice and shiny. And that will get us on to, when I take those out, we'll start with the next step. Once your brass has been cleaned, the first thing you got to do is decap or deprime the case. And also, when it's fired, the case expands slightly, so you need to size it back to its original dimensions. So the first step, I got 3 dies here. First step is taking the case sizing and depriming die. This one is a carbide die. It does not need, the cases do not need to be lubricated, which is really nice. That's not the case with my rifle ammunition. Put that in here. I'm going to run that all the way up to the top, and I'm just going to run this so it's just about at the bottom. That takes the primer out. When I'm reloading, I'm going to do 100, 200, 300 of these at a time. And I'm going to be putting them into things like this. Once I've deprimed a whole bunch of them, I go on to the next step. The next step for me can be a couple of different things. A lot of times people want to trim their brass if there's been expansion or whatnot. In the case of shooting the 357 cartridges, the brass does not seem to grow very much, and I only check them and trim them after I've fired the brass several times. I'm not going to do that step right now. What that looks like: this is a Trim Pro, nice little device. It's normally screwed down to your workbench, and then it's screwed down. You plop your brass in there, trim off a little bit of brass. You just have to polish off the burr. You don't want to overdo that. Check, I did a couple of these. Also, after I've deprimed it, the pocket has gunk around it from the primer, and a lot of times I'm going to clean that out and use these. I put a whole bunch in my hand and I just run through, and there's a lot of different pocket cleaning tools. And in all honesty, a lot of people don't do that step with handgun ammunition. After you've cleaned the pocket, then you need to expand the case a little bit. Right now, this bullet will not go in here very easily. It would actually cut away some of the bullet material, whether it's copper or lead. So I need to expand this a little bit. And that you can see, but it has just a little bit of a flare at the end now. What you will be able to see is how all of a sudden that bullet goes in there. Before I did that, the bullet does not go in there. But because of the flare, now it does. This tool is what I'm going to use to put my primers in. There's my primer. It's Just going to push that up all the way in there. So once your brass has been cleaned, case sized, deprimed, pocket cleaned, trimmed, put the flare back in it. Now I have a primer in it. At this point, this case is ready to be charged with your gunpowder, and then have a bullet seated in it. Next step, your powder measuring device should be measuring out what you want. Right now I'm just great. I have it set for 5.1 grains of I'm using unique for this particular load. It's just a light load. Something that's, you know, around a 38 special power. Once I have my powder measure set, just start dumping powder, and might check it every 10 rounds or 20 rounds. But for pistol cartridges, it's not nearly as critical. When I'm doing my rifle calibers, I will measure every single load. So now I have 3 cases with powder. You want to do a visual inspection. I have this bright light here. If I had this tray full of cartridges, and I might have 100 cartridges and they're all charged with powder, I'm going to visually look down and make sure that none of them are double charged, especially if you're using one of the powders where it only takes 5 for 7 or 8 grains. 5 especially. Most time when you double charge, it's going to be overflowing on the top. But because I'm only using 5 grains right now, I could double charge this and still not quite see powder, which is a little bit dangerous. So you just want to visually inspect your loads. Once you have a tray full of charged cartridges, the next step we're going to do is seat your bullet. This die has 2 parts. First off, your bullet's going to go in here and it's going to hit. What it's hitting right now, there's like a lip in there. That's going to actually crimp the case around the bullet. And so when I'm setting this in here, I want this to actually just be set on here initially, and then this part here is what sets my bullet depth. And I shoot a wide range of bullets, at least 5 different types of bullets, so I'm always changing this one. I have some spots marked on here that I kind of use as guides. So I'm going to put this in here. Okay, when it's all done, you should have a nice crimp around that crimping groove. And it should be a proper length. And this is why you actually want to have a whole lot of charged cartridges ready to load. Because it takes a little bit of setup work to get this right where you want it at. This is it right here. I got laser cast bullets right here. These are 180 grain for 357. This is right now 5 grains of unique powder. I have my 3 dies. I have a piece of brass. Got primers. You know, when it's all said and done, that's what you get. Right now I'm just using this single stage press. This powder measure, this scale, I would love to have a progressive reloader, because, you know, it takes me 90 minutes to do 100 rounds. It takes me, you know, several hours, 2 to 3 hours to do a couple hundred. And with a progressive, you can do, once you have your dies set up, you can do hundreds of rounds very quickly. When you just add cartridges, add bullets, add primers, add powder, and let the die do, or let the press do all the work for you. As it is, that's my process. And because I do reload or hand load, I'm spending anywhere from as little as 13 cents a round to 25 cents a round on my 357 ammunition. Right now I'm shooting a lot of loads. The reason I'm using unique is that I can shoot a really light, easy to shoot load for really cheap. And it's a lot of fun. It keeps me shooting. I can go out to the range, and I just spent $15 on ammunition to go out and shoot 100 rounds. And that allows me to shoot right now. If I had to rely on buying it at the store, I don't think I could stand to shoot 100 rounds, because, you know, I just would have spent $50, and I'm not a rich man. So hopefully I've given you some information. I'm not saying I'm any expert on reloading. I'm just trying to show what I do and how I make it so that I can afford to shoot. Hope this has been helpful.